get myself set up. We're talking about today how to manage operations when you're under-resourced. So in times of crisis, and a lot of people are wondering about what they're going to do with their businesses. And guys, if you've seen the theme that I've had these past 3 weeks of coming at you live, I really just want to give myself a hand clap for showing up live for 3 weeks, because you have no idea what it's costing my family to allow me to do this for 3 entire weeks, like disrupt everybody, ship people off, shushing them away to be here. If you've noticed these 3 weeks that I've been coming at you live, I am not at a place where I'm pretending that things, haven't changed, pretending that the pandemic is, nothing, because I'm a woman of faith. I do recognize that the world is going through challenging times. I am very aware that particularly the target group, my target customer, is going through such uncertain and turbulent times. But as I am, and if anybody has been following Modesta Mahiga Mbuguni for a while, anybody been watching the videos on Purpose and License YouTube channel, you guys know I'm all about zooming in and saying, what can I do about what I'm going through? And so don't listen to me speaking to you and wonder, like, what world is she in? Why is she sounding all positive and giving us strategies and all these tools and tactics as if, life is normal? I am not. I'm taking cognizance of the fact that things are topsy-turvy at the moment. But rather than just panic and faint, I would like to give you the resources that you need to do the best that you can with the situation you're in. Is that fair enough for everybody? So if you were not there yesterday, or you just simply want a recap, I've started a series that's called Think Big, Grow Strategically. We can think big, but still be mindful of the steps that we take as we're growing our businesses. And I just came from posting my book, The African Entrepreneur Startup Checklist: Save Time, Money, and Unnecessary Pain. What I've written here in this checklist, I wish somebody had spoken to me about when I started out as a serial entrepreneur on September 11th, 2007. That's when I ventured out in my business. But before that, I have been in the field I'm in since January 2004. And of course, I'd volunteered and worked before that. But primarily being out in the market, and I started out in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, was when I got my first job, recruited in 2004, January. Started my own business on September 11th, 2007, and I've been rocking with you people since. And this is what I'd like to say. When you come across a person that will go out of their way to share insights, pitfalls that they had, please welcome them with 2 hands. Because I wish I knew today what I needed to know when I started out my first business. They eventually mushroomed to 5 businesses. And it cost me in every way to learn as I went, to wing it as you go. And so I do not want you to do that. And this entire week, if you're an entrepreneur, or you know an entrepreneur, or you're married to an entrepreneur, or you're dating an entrepreneur, you have an entrepreneurial child, you have an entrepreneurial parent, please share these broadcasts with them this week, because I am about to save you time, money, and unnecessary pain on any good day, but especially now that the world is going through this global crisis and economic downturn. So yesterday we started out talking about the 4 things you need to consider as you are putting in place measures to weather the storm, to survive the current business climate, and I went as far, I dare to say, thrive. And I saw a comment from Victor Mwenda. Shout out to you, Victor Mwenda, who said, you know what? It is during crisis that most entrepreneurs actually do well. And so if you feel like I may not have gotten that memo, because what I'm going through is so difficult, I cannot imagine surviving this thing, let alone thriving, then buckle up and listen in. I want you to consider these 4 things. So I'm just recapping yesterday and I get into today's session. If you would like to go back to yesterday's video, go to Purposeful Excellence Academy channel on YouTube. I have now, it's 104, 105 videos. So if you're looking to position yourself in personal development, career, and business, you're in for a treat. You can literally go play all and watch every single video I've ever put out in these 3 areas. Personal development, goal setting, your personal brand. Ooh, there are more than 3, your career and your business. So yesterday I said, before you think about what to do, I want you to decide based on these 4 factors. I would like you to choose to pivot in your business based on your plan and not panic. Pivot right now in terms of crisis based on plan, not panic. And what do I mean by that? You were going somewhere with your business before COVID-19 hit. You were headed somewhere. You had some plans. You'd written out your business plan, possibly. You had some goals, and they remain valid. It's just life happened in a big way to everybody. I wouldn't want you to drop what you had going. I wouldn't want you to drop what had been working for you or what you were working towards simply because there's been this interruption. I would like you to go back to your personal plans. So for instance, you're saying, this is who I am. This is why I got into business. And these are the goals that I had for my personal, financial, professional, and impact, right? My personal, financial, professional, and impact goals were X, Y, Z. Now, when you want to pivot in your business right now, because you're in times of crisis, things are different in your market, things are different for the specific niche you're offering and your customers. You will revisit first your purpose, your why for doing business, your motivation. Do you know, and I know sometimes we serve our businesses so much, we kind of forget this. Do you realize that the business actually exists to serve you rather you the business? Like the business isn't your entire life. And I know sometimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like they are, because I was consumed for many years. For 12 years, I was consumed. And I remember my colleagues saying, Modesta, you're like Nyerere. So if anybody knows about Tanzania, and if I'm speaking to some people who are not from Africa, Nyerere is Tanzania's founding president, and he stood for socialism, and he stood for doing for the people rather than amassing self-wealth, etc. So my colleagues would say, you're like the little Nyerere, you're doing for the rest of us. Imagine my own colleagues who are supposed to get their pay. I say, you're doing for the rest of us and you're sacrificing yourself. But what do? Leaders eat last, right? But it so drove me, my business so enslaved me. And it is because there's certain principles that I didn't know. I didn't have certain systems in place. Telling it all, guys, you know how real I am. I didn't have clear strategy. I wasn't even clear about my target audience. There's a time I was busy serving the beneficiaries of my service without understanding that although they're meant to be impacted and benefit from the service, they're not the ones that can part with the money in their pockets to pay for the services. So I had to have an in-between. My client wasn't them. They were the beneficiaries that would be impacted, but my client had to be somebody else. I learned that the hard way. So I don't want you to learn the hard way. I want you to consider yourself first. Why are you in business? What was your motivation? What are your goals? Your personal, your financial, your professional development goals, your impact goals in your market. If you don't know those, please DM me. Email me on hello@modesta.africa. Go to modesta.africa/work-with-me and sign up for a discovery call. Because if you don't even have, as an entrepreneur, your personal, financial, and professional goals, and you do not know what impact you want to make through your business, you're not about to make the right decisions right now as you're looking to pivot during times of crisis. Do not sacrifice yourself. And I've had this conversation with so many clients, especially in executive coaching, where people are taking money from their families to invest, in the business, explaining to their spouse, explaining to their children that the business will one day give back to us. But they're, some are going bankrupt. Some people are not being, not able to pay, their rent, utilities. Some people take risks in partnerships that end up really costing them, and they have to continue taking from the family. And so I really want you to harden your heart, so to speak, and think through who you are first, because this business is an expression of you, yes, but it came to serve you and those that it's being a solution to. It didn't come to enslave you. You are not the servant of your business. You may be a servant leader for your people and the target market, but this business, it is a tool to help you reach where you want to reach professionally, financially, personally, and impact-wise. Which is why I'm forever drumming about personal branding, even when I'm talking to business leaders and I'm talking to people in their career. Why? Because everything that you create, your business included, should be an expression of you and your values and who you are and where you want to go. So that's the first thing that I asked people to think about yesterday, as they're thinking big, yes, but looking to pivot their business and grow strategically. The second thing that I asked you to look at yesterday, and you can go back to that video, it is called Think Big, Grow Strategically. The second thing that I want you to look at is, where was your business going? So where are you going, but where was your business going as well? So that, like I mentioned earlier, you can pivot your strategy right now during times of crisis based on your business plan rather than based on panic, because people are saying everybody is pulling out of this and you want to pull out. Or everybody is pivoting to invest in that thing and you just want to go to another area completely unrelated to who you are and where you are going to go with your business. So I don't want you to have a knee-jerk reaction to just do what the crowd is saying. I'm not saying the crowd will always be wrong, but the crowd is seldom right. Anyway, another conversation for another day. I'd like you to think that through. The third thing that I want you to look at is the political, economic, social, technological, and environmental changes that have happened since COVID-19 hit. The world is on lockdown, businesses are closed. And so if you're serving business to business, or even if it's business to individuals, people are, quarantined. So the landscape, the larger landscape looks very different for your business. And you need to consider that as you're looking to pivot during times of crisis. And the fourth thing that I want you to look at is your internal capacity, your internal agility, flexibility to be able to come up with something that your customers need right now. So we will be talking a lot about needs-based business, needs-based pivoting. You cannot just show up because I have a lot of these things in stock, because this is what we've always done. Well, what we've always done is not working right now. Not for the world in general, not for your market. It may not work for you. And so you must then look at your readiness and the investment it will take for you to quickly, with agility, to be agile, to pivot and give the products and services that are relevant to your customer base right now. Why do I keep talking about your customer? Why aren't I just talking about anybody, anywhere? Listen to this. Just because things seem rough at the moment doesn't mean that you abandon ship. So you being in business is like you signing up for leadership. Oh yeah. We'll have an entire other session on leadership. Actually, I think 2009, I think 3 months on leadership. So you guys go back and look at, the Purpose and License videos when I had interviews of different leaders back here. When you are out doing business, you are saying, I am a leader, I am an expert, I bring solutions to a specific target market. They don't expect you to abandon ship. And we'll talk more about that today as we're talking about managing operations when you're under-resourced. They don't expect you to abandon ship simply because life has happened. Because listen, when this thing is over and you come back like, hey, they'll be like, People have options. People don't have just thousands. People have millions upon millions of options. Why? Because the world is global. Every single local economy is global. And so you'll hear me talk about think local, but act local. What did I say? Think global, act local. My bad. Think global, but act local. And so if people have choices, so somebody invited me to something and I accepted on Facebook. And I don't know if they just wanted me to see what they're doing in their country, or by some reason they thought I was from that country. And it's an African country, it's a neighboring country, but I joined. And there you go. I could then have the opportunity not only to interact with other entrepreneurs from that country, to get clients from that country. So just like that, on Facebook, I now would have a presence in another country that I hadn't, had access to. So remember this, when you're looking to pivot, don't just disappear on your people. Look at what they need right now, and your readiness and your capabilities, and how quickly you can turn things around to serve them at what they need at the moment. Now, you do have to have a balance between what you need, right? And what they need, so they can see you as being present, as being relevant, as value adding, and you are a leader that did not run away because times were rough. Now, I'm not saying if you have to shut down your business during times of crisis that you're necessarily running away. But even if you had to shut down your business because it's just not sustainable anymore, I will help you today and throughout this week on how you can do that in a way that still strengthens your personal brand and doesn't burn bridges, but gives room for you to revisit those relationships and conversations, and possibly offer, whether it's the same thing that you'll go back to in future or something else. So now, when you thought of those four, why did I get into business, and what are my personal, financial, professional impact goals? What's my business plan? Where was I taking this thing before COVID-19 hit? What is the political, economic, social, technological, and legal and environmental environment changes at the moment that I need to consider as I'm looking at how to pivot during times of crisis? And the fourth one was, okay, so what's my internal capability? How quickly can I turn something around that is really relevant and needed to my client base? Now, let's say you're in a position where you cannot continue operations. I'm just going to start with the worst case scenario so we can get it out of the way, so that after that we can just talk about, let's say you are staying in business. Let's say you've had to close, and I don't just mean you've closed your doors because businesses have been asked to shut down because of social distancing. I mean, you've actually decided to go out of business. You will need to communicate that. Communicate that to your current client base, communicate that to suppliers and all the other stakeholders that you had created an ecosystem around yourself. If that's what you decide to do, you will write a very open and professional, apologetic note to say, unfortunately, because XYZ were unable to do this. I would even go as far as to say, if at all you can, now not to everybody that you're speaking to in public, right? When you put out a public notice, if you want to, you can do that. But to your client base, because you already have a relationship, an ongoing relationship, you can speak to potential service providers, other businesses that do have continuity, that were able to adapt and continue to serve, and you can recommend them. You can refer people to them. And that would just be an amazing, amazing impression that you would create for your current clients. That not only did you go out of your way to send a note to say, I will no longer, continue with business because of the situation, and we're not sure when we would be able to resume operations, but we'll definitely get in touch. But you're not leaving them abandoned. You're not leaving them as orphans. You're saying, I would highly recommend this organization. Of course, you vetted them. Don't just mention anybody, because that's your name. Remember, when you recommend others, that's your name attached to them. you would recommend these others that they can go to. And what a beautiful way to steward your closure and to steward these people or businesses that had walked with you loyally all this time, and now would may not have a place to go to, and you have nicely not only shown them someplace else to go, by so doing, you're also giving your voucher of confidence. You're saying, I believe that this business will be able to give you the same or even better service or products as I did. So that could be something. Let's just put that out of the way immediately. Let's say you do want to close down. Do it in such a way that you keep doors and hearts open to consider you in future. Let's say then, rather than shut down, you do, I was going to say a SWOT, like you're looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, and opportunities and threats to pivot. That you're looking at the resources you have, given the strategy you've chosen now. You're looking at the resources you have to decide whether or not you have capability to offer this different service, to give certain products, to move your business from being physically present in a certain place to being online. By the way, you can come and we can have those conversations about pivoting your business online rather than being in a situation where you're serving people. They come to your office, you go to theirs. And you've taken inventory of all that you are and you have and you can do, and you find that you're under-resourced. Now, the most obvious is you cannot be around your colleagues. Let's say, you are working in maybe a factory, a production setting, and people kind of gather together. So maybe it's just you, and there's only so much that you can do. What happens then? Or because you haven't generated income all this time, you're unable to sustain your payroll. And so you're letting people go, not just because of social distancing and proximity, but because it's just not sustainable for you at the moment. So what do you do if you choose to stay open, you choose to continue serving your clients, you realize that you'll have to pivot your strategy, but you are under-resourced? You have, and I've written down here, 4 options. Actually, let me call it 3 because I've already told you about shutting down, right? One of the things that you can decide to do immediately, and I think this would be the simplest. Remember the example I just gave you of if you're shutting down, but you can think of businesses that you can trust, that you can recommend, refer your client base to. Now, listen, there's always a risk, because I know some people are like, what? Why would I do that? And I've had this experience many times at home where I'll go to certain businesses, and especially with certain, anyway, let me just not go there. But I'm sure when I speak, you guys might get this. And I will ask if they have a certain product or service, and they would say no, especially a product, like a tangible product. And they would say, no, we're all out. And then I'll ask, do you know where else I can get it? And they'll say, no. Really? No one else in this market that can give me that service, that can get me that product? They'll say, no, sorry, we know no one else. I came all the way here from, wherever I may have, gone from. You really don't know anyone? No, they'll say, no, we don't know anyone else. And so there's a lot of that in business. People feel like, well, if I send them to my competitor, then that's it. And that's the risk you have to take. You either go, either go quiet, which is not a good idea, and just disappear and, assume how people will understand, COVID happened, businesses closed down, I disappeared. Or you communicate that you're shutting down, you're unable to continue, you apologize. Okay, that's nice. Or you go one step further and you recommend businesses that you trust can do the same or even better job than you. There is a risk that they might want to continue with them thereafter. That is true. But there's also a great chance that the fact that you had that goodwill, you went out of your way to recommend competitors just because you really cared about your clients, that when you're ready to come back, as long as you were doing a great job and giving a great service, they will come back to you. So it's up to you and what your motivations are, but I would go all the way out with generosity. I'm not serving you anyway. I'm not going to make money from you anyway. you will probably find somebody else anyway. But by me referring specific businesses to you, I'm also putting my seal of approval on those businesses, and you feel taken care of because you now don't have to go through everybody else. You were used to me, right? You don't have to go to everybody else. I'm guiding you on which maybe top 3 that I would recommend to you. So that's one thing. Partner, this is what I would recommend. Partner with established businesses that are still operational. If you have done, you've taken inventory, or you've decided on a strategy on how you want to pivot, during times of crisis, and you've taken inventory of your capabilities and what it would take, to navigate the external environment, and you're thinking it's just not worth it, and I'm under resourced. The first, and I think simplest thing, although it may to you feel like the greatest risk, is to look for those, or if you already know them, engage in conversations with businesses that have been able to adapt, that maybe they're larger, that maybe they had transition online. Guys, can I tell you, I went through my own mini crisis a couple of years ago, and transitioning online has been a blessing. So maybe they have been, they've been agile, or they had greater capability, and they were able to transition during the crisis. Speak to them. Be mindful of the contracts that you're negotiating with them. That's on you. Unless I am your consultant, please don't just go jump and find another business. You want to make sure that it aligns with your personal, goals, your business plan. And so partner with this other business that you can connect with your clients. That's the first thing that you can do when you've taken inventory of all that you have, but you find that you're under-resourced and you still want to be of service. You still want to be visible and relevant and value adding. You can get into kind of partnerships where, either just everything goes to this other business that you partner with. It could be that you're partnering, maybe you're handling all the communication, the operational, administrative, and they're actually distributing, making the products or giving the service, whatever it is. Maybe some of them are positioned well to do, if it's service related, to offer services online, and so they do that, and you're handling all the operational and the administrative and the communication and customer relationship management. Or you could get into a partnership where you are both serving, and so you call, you say that this is a strategic partner, this is our ally, or however else you're going to term it, and you can offer that service together. So all of a sudden, as before you felt you were under-resourced and had no option but to but to partner with another organization, but now you can negotiate a contract where you're bringing in your client base. They're set up to be able to deliver during times of crisis. You deliver together because, listen, they now get a client base they didn't have access to before. You now get capabilities, right? You now have the capacity, which you didn't have before because you were not ready for COVID-19. You were not ready to have to pivot your business. You don't have the capability to do that, whether it's people, whether it's finances, whether it's systems and structures. And so this works well for you. So consider that as the first, I called it, tactic that you can adopt. The second one is to automate. So where you needed people for, you needed admin people, you needed payroll people, you needed sales and marketing people, maybe you needed people in production, you needed people in distribution, I don't know if you had agents, maybe you had an operation that needed a lot of people in different areas of your operation. And that is something that you cannot afford to continue to have, both physically, health-wise, it's a risk, but it may also be financially. Now that business is down, you can't afford to have that entire machinery operating. This is where I have found it absolutely amazing. Actually, after this call, I'm getting on a call with a company that offers end-to-end services in what I want to evolve to next. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to think about it. They have the business engine. They're going to, run it. I just plug my things and play. Off I go, turnkey. Now I would like you to think through then, What are the really necessary elements for your business to run? So it might mean that you're getting under the hood a little bit more. You're looking at the nuts and bolts. What is my business really made of? From when I am, speaking to clients to when I've done the business and I'm making profits. What are the different areas that are critical for me to start the relationship, close the deal, and have the contract, offer the service or the products, make sure that they're installed, or check that things have gone well, I've been paid, and the after sales service or whatever it is that you call. And then start shopping online. Start looking at businesses that offer these services. I did a video called Tips and Tools of Becoming a Powerful Personal Brand, but that video is all about actually tips and tools, literal online tools that you can use both as an individual in your career and as an entrepreneur for your business. And so some of them could well be getting a virtual assistant. Actually, I just thought of Raymond Gamilo, a friend of mine that has that business. Rems, I'm not sure if you're still continuing with that or not. And she has that service. And I think actually one of her people has contacted me before for an engagement. And so you could get somebody who's a virtual assistant. They're sitting where they're sitting. They're answering all of your calls. And I actually had a business center, based on this as well. Answering all of your calls. They're doing all your admin. They're taking notes. Everything that you need, maybe in terms of administrative. Some may even go as far as handling your social media and your emails and communication. And so that element is done. You could have an online service, and I mentioned on that video, for instance, Wave Accounting, where you're able to invoice, where the system prompts you to make reminders to clients, where after receiving your pay, you're sending receipts, and so many other fun things that you can do when it comes to finance. So you can use that and be able to see an entire picture of your. Now, I'm not saying get rid of your finance people. You will need them. Like I learned the hard way. When my people did me a number, it's important. Both you and your finance people are really on top of things. But in these times of crisis, a tool such as that can be absolutely helpful. You will have another tool that will, that can automatically post things. Let's say if you're talking about posting online, that tells you, that can lead people to your business. In your business, people are able to subscribe, and you can automatically send them offers and newsletters and all kinds of things. From there, engage them in your services. They can do evaluations of your businesses and services. And so if you're thinking about maybe a complete customer relationship management that is not going to cost me too much, keeping track of how my customers are doing, what it is that they need, etc., you can do that online. You could even just simply do SurveyMonkey and send a link for people to let you know how they're doing, what they're looking for. And you can completely outsource, either you're getting tools, apps, or to an organization that is in that business, your sales and marketing as well. So consider that as well. The first one was partner with others that are still, running, they have business continuity and are able to serve a clientele similar to yours. You can partner with them. You can automate so that even if you're a one-man, one-woman show, things are still running. You're still able to deliver excellence seamlessly, and nobody is the wiser. It's just you scurrying about because you have these tools, you have these systems that people have. For instance, with my clients, I have this amazing app that I think, a productivity app. Monday.com allows me to see all my clients, all the open projects, every single thing that is for them to do, for me to do. And I also work with my husband for him to do. And we get prompts when a project has been moved to the next thing, whether it's done, it's stuck, it's awaiting certain reviews. You get prompts when you're supposed to contribute to something to the client. When it ends, it prompts you for the next thing that you need to do. Amazing. And guess what? A lot of these things have a basic free subscription. And if you want, all bells and whistles and everything, you're able then to subscribe to something premium, depending on your needs. But I'm talking to startup businesses And many may, not necessarily have huge operations. And so these tools and apps and subscriptions that you can have to services like virtual assistants or being able to outsource. By the way, that's a third point. Outsourcing your business processes elsewhere so that you remain visible, you remain relevant, you're still adding value, you're still serving clients with your services or products, but you're not necessarily running the operations by yourself because you're under-resourced. So if you are panicking because you're under-resourced, because you can't physically get with your team, or maybe you've always been on your own, or you're panicking because businesses have shut down, so you don't have the flexibility to go out to people, whether it's to go out and introduce your business, whether it's to go out and serve your clients, and you're wondering then, what does this mean for your business? I would highly recommend that you consider automating, you consider outsourcing, you consider partnerships with other businesses that have either they were always larger and had greater capability, or maybe they were more agile, or they were always a business that had both a physical presence and an online presence. And you can have conversations with them about how to deliver together. But if all else fails, you can then, in communicating with your client base where you've decided that you're closing, you can recommend up to 3 businesses that you think, I know that would give just as good, or if not better service, better products, and I would vouch for them. And that way it shows your market that you care. It shows your clients, especially that have already established a relationship with you, that you care. And should you wish to at some point in future come back, then those doors will be open. And what do you do then in between? Life has happened. Businesses have to pivot in their strategy on what they're doing, whether they're closing, and they have to inform their client base that they're closing and possibly recommend competitors that they can, go to, or you've decided to partner with others, or you've decided to automate so that you can continue being relevant, as long as, of course, you've created products that are needs-based right now, because possibly what you were giving before, what you were offering, your products and services, may not be relevant. Not all products and services that we were offering before remain relevant. And so there's a need to be agile, creative, flexible, to bring what your client base, your target client would really appreciate. But should you feel that you're going through a downtime right now, that you're not being, not being as effective, let me find the word, that you're obviously you're not as productive as you would like to be, as you were before, but you also are not earning as you were before. What do you do? Like I said when I started this 3 weeks ago, when I was talking about career, use this downtime, use this crisis as a wake-up call. Don't take it as bad luck, this thing happened, I can't wait till it's over to get back to normal. This should be a tap on your shoulder wake-up call that says life can happen that you had not foreseen, like this. The whole world got a slap on their faces. This is your time to start reviewing how you are doing business so that you can then create the systems and the structures. You can come up with a strategy that can make your business more resilient. Think of making your business more resilient. So whether that is diversifying your product portfolio, whether that means also going online, whether that means, having a way of partnering so that when you're not capable, you can quickly have others, that will ensure your continuity. Whatever it is that you need to do, use this time. Today's session isn't just about, think through what you need to do to continue operating, to manage your operations when you're under-resourced. It's also a time for you to just think through your business at all. Should there be some other unforeseeable disruption, or maybe foreseeable? How can I so position my business to be able to continue serving and to do so at the same excellent delivery that I had before. And then start thinking through, start strategizing, start making those calls. Like I told you, since I get off this call, there's a call I am making about the next step for my business. I see, rather than me trying to scurry about, put all those pieces together, that there is a system that I can purchase. So I don't know if they subscribe, I think it's a subscription, and then plug and play. Have a solution that is run by a multi-billion-dollar business that knows what it's doing, that is serving a lot of businesses such as mine, and I am able to do what I am most capable of doing. I can then focus on what my core offering is. I can focus on what my strengths are. Wherever I have a weakness, wherever I feel like it could be a threat, because there's certain things, we need to have a whole conversation about SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Then I will now build the system to make sure that my business can be resilient no matter what it goes through, not just now and in the future. And I recommend that we use that time to do that. If you got off guard by COVID-19 and your business is tottering, and you're just going to sit and coast and ride this out until things turn around and continue business as usual, anyway, you will not bless me. Let me put it that way. I'm trying to be nice. Use this time then to strategize. And there is always a way, as I say. You just need strategy to sort of strategize. And of course, if you can't think it through, that's why coaches exist. That's why I exist. Look for me. Send me an email on hello@modesta.africa. DM me if you're ready to, if you're serious about having a conversation with me for an hour about how to pivot your business. Go to modesta.africa under work with me, book a discovery call, and let's have a conversation about how you can, strengthen your business to be resilient, but to be so innovative that it's able to think ahead and put measures in place to serve superbly, to be present, to be relevant, to cater to the needs of your clients no matter what happens. So I want to end there today. We continue with this series tomorrow. You want to stay on. We're still going to talk about, what do you do to get the right people right now? How do you position to make sure you're really speaking to your niche? Tomorrow's topic is the best. How then, in these times of crisis, do you get to be in a place where you're going to offer products and services that the market wants and is willing to pay for? Isn't that why we're in business? We're offering something that we kind of hope. Actually, no, we don't kind of hope. We're offering things that we expect the market would want and would be willing to pay for, and at the price point that we are offering it. So this is a conversation tomorrow. This is, I think, an amazing topic for any day of the week in any other time of normalcy. But right now, during times of crisis, there are a lot of questions about, so what do I do? Do I think that people are unemployed and so can't afford it? Do I consider, you probably have a lot of questions as an entrepreneur. And sometimes, get this, this is just a bonus I'm adding for you guys. Sometimes, because we are also people, we're individuals, right? You put yourself in your customer's shoes, and businesses often give discounts and consideration and all kinds of things, even before they've negotiated. As entrepreneurs, many times we negotiate ourselves out of what we're offering, simply because you're putting yourself in the customer's shoes, and you're saying, oh no, there's no way that they can afford that, no way that they would want that, no way that this would make sense for them. I'm considering right now what everything is what's going on right now with COVID and with family and everything. There's no way that we need to stop that. I have seen many clients remove themselves as entrepreneurs in their business and come to the other side and start negotiating as the client. Now, whilst it's important for you to do research, what your clients can and what they do not want, what they can and cannot, what they will or will not pay for your products or services, you're not to make assumptions about the person you're speaking to and as to what they can or cannot do. Your job is to sow present your compelling offer, that and leave it to them to see just how critical getting your product and service is to them thriving in the area in which they've come to you. It is not your job to now start talking about how much less you can do, what you add on top of that, and all kinds of things that we sometimes find ourselves doing as entrepreneurs. And when you get it, you look at the cost that you incurred to offer it, and you're like, that thing was not worth it. And the last thing that you want is to act funny to your client simply because you feel like you're not getting the money that you deserve. You negotiated that. That's on you. That is for tomorrow. So guys, please do the homework that I sent you yesterday and today as you're thinking through. So what am I going to do with my business strategy? I would like you to think through then what will it be? Will it be partnership? Are you completely outsourcing? Are you looking at somebody else that you can do things together with? Are you going to automate, or will you just come up to your client base that has so loyally stood by you and say, look, I'm unable to continue with this right now. I can recommend these 3 businesses that I think would serve you just as well or even better. And can we please stay in touch and we'll communicate on the other side of COVID? That's also an option. I think it's noble. I think it's a beautiful way to end this current chapter, and it leaves the doors open for you to continue serving them in future. And equally so, if your clients come and say, I am no longer able to continue with the service, to continue with the products, please don't fuss, don't be crazy. Graciously accept that, graciously, wish them all the best. Tell them that you are open. If there's a conversation that you can have about negotiation, what would actually work for them in these times, be flexible with that. We'll later talk about how to work cash flows and debt collection and all the rest of that. That's going to be our last session this week. If you're enjoying this, share it with friends. Subscribe to Purposeful Excellence on YouTube. I've also posted the African Entrepreneur Startup Checklist. I wrote this last year for you as an entrepreneur to save time, money, and unnecessary pain. Please get this book on Amazon. You can get it as a print copy or an ebook. Listen, it's going to say Kindle, but you can get the Kindle app on Android and on iOS, so that you can get up to speed on all the questions you will need to ask yourself as you're transitioning your business. Thank you so much for your time. Catch up with you tomorrow, same time. Much love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'm going to look at some of the questions that you may have had. I don't have any here. I had comments here. Modesto, you're right. Oh, thank you. It's nice to be told you're right? Business is relationship. It will sustain. Think global, act local. That's right. Business runs you instead of letting it take care of you. The AD and the motivation. Yes. Business must not run you. You are running that business. And so you have to consider your personal objectives. You have to consider where you are going. Businesses must not consume us. Sometimes our families get resentful of our businesses because we're taking everything, time, money, resources away to feed the business, and we're getting it twisted. And that's something else we'll talk about another time, for you to really plan through your business before you take off. Have a wonderful evening, afternoon. Catch up with you tomorrow.